Hello, welcome to Do I Trains, and welcome to another layout design update video. And in this video, we're going to look at the progress I made thus far. And there's a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about that lift gate. We're going to talk about just the general update of layout. I glued all this master plan down. We're going to talk about that. We're just going to walk a loop and see everything that has been happening. This is a little teaser, super teaser. There's the lift gate. We'll talk about that in a minute. So let's first swing over here and let's talk about what we're aiming for, scenery-wise, and how it's all going to add up. Because I did get a question a while ago from someone who asked, like, okay, so you're going to put a roadbed on here for your track. So let's just step back a bit and see what we're looking at. So this is a diorama I built a while ago as a test bed or test case for this layout. So you see, I wanted to test several things. So there's a road here. I made a road. There's track in the road. I want to test that, so I made that, including a turnout. And the question was specific about layers. So what you see here is ground zero. This is eventually all going to be covered. So the bare minimum coverage is soil, as you see right there, or something like this, just some gravel for a parking lot or something like that. So that's going to be ground zero. I'm not going to lay a roadbed everywhere underneath the track because it's a switching layout and wouldn't really work. There's one section there on the bridge that I might do that. So how would I do that? Well, very easily. If we swing back, I have 4 mil of cork, so I would just cut the cork away where there's no track, and thus leaving a roadbed or elevated roadbed for the track itself. But for all the other areas, it's going to be more or less like here. So this track is laid directly onto the plywood that's just underneath here. And for me, and what I'm doing here, this is plenty of elevation. This is the look that I want. And then you see here the foundations. What I always do is I make my structures removable. As you see here, there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they're all removed. The foundation is, I think, 2 mil foam is what I use for this, or you can also use cardboard. And what you see is that once you put on all the ground soil and everything, especially here, that the foundation is almost just same level as the soil itself. Here it's a bit higher because, of course, you have the sidewalk that's on top of the road, so it's like a dual layer. So you see here as well, I didn't do it well. It looks like it's floating, but it's actually 2 layers right there for that. So then we have the road itself. This is just glued. This is, again, the foam I use, but you can use cardboard as well. And I stuffed it up with some cardboard in the middle just to create this, arch. There's a specific word for it, but it's like the road that's arching so the rain can drain. And that's on top of that. And then I also built in some anomalies, and you can see that was actually difficult to see. I guess because I did it so subtly. I made some little hills here, especially on camera it's difficult to see, but I made some hills and some little mushiness underneath with some toilet paper and some cardboard to get rid of that like flat plywood look. But to be honest, if you look at it like this, that flat plywood look is just not here because there's so much happening with the scenery. So that's all that I wanted to say about what we're aiming for. If I create this level of detail on the rest of the layout, then I think I can be quite happy. So here we have, this is laying around here actually, because I have some visitors and I wanted to show them. This is the signal plan for the layout. That's a bit in the distance. The rule book, I'm starting to work on that as well. That's a bit in distance. That would be great material for a future video. And here you see I glued down all the master plan, and it was really easy to put down. First, you want to make sure your paper and your plan is in the exact right place that you want it. Then I took 2:1 ratio diluted PVA glue, which is diluted it with some water, spread it out with a brush. I ended up brushing on the plan onto the cork, just like that. Now for the edges, I just completely soaked them with extra glue, just to make them very wet and to ensure that they stick to the cork and they'll remain there in its place. So the A0 paper is very thin, and when it absorbs all that moisture from the glue and the water, it really becomes bubbly and wrinkly. But don't worry, as terrible as it seems now, once it all dries and all the water's evaporated, it pulls completely tight again and goes back to its original shape. And here it is, and it looks really tight and clean. And as I said, that the as-built room is a little bit larger than anticipated, so I had, well, what is it, like 3/4 of an inch left over, and I decided to plan that here as you see, because I knew that in this piece I can extend the track but I can't extend it here because it's a turnout. So I extended the track here and extended the track there just to fill in the extra width of the room. So that's really the flexibility that you have with the track plan. If you print it out, you can just move around, cut and paste a little bit as you please. The same here, because we have this lowered bench work, I had to be a little bit flexible with where the actual apron of the car float starts. I think it will start here. Actually, maybe even a bit further like that. A little bit off shift from the plan, but that's not a problem at all. I still have some space left to move the car float. But because this, I want to get the car float first before I commit to any of this. I might just glue the plan down just to make it look a bit nicer. And the same here with the bridges. I'm just going to make some bridges out of spare cardboard for the time being until we have time to actually make the bridges and make that scene, look complete. Because this has to be extended a bit and then slowly bang down to the water, etc., etc. Here, a lot of spare lumber that I used for the lift gate. And this lift gate was a bit of a headache because this is under an angle. Let me just swing over slowly. This bit is under an angle. It's supposed to be under an angle because you see this road is under an angle and the lift gate follows the road right there. And that just made it so insanely complex, to be honest. And then I found out a lot of my lumber was just as crooked as crooked could be. But this is the final plan. This whole section lifts up just like my arm over there, just like that. So there's a piano hinge down there. You can see that. And if I do it in this way, it has some benefits. I still need to finish, obviously, some pieces not glued together. But this section right here, transition, is in a straight section of track. And the track goes around the bend. And then the next transition is here in this straight section of track. And then we go here under the viaduct into the yard. So I'm going to do in my last video I mentioned it 3 times. I was just rattling on. I'm going to do a separate video on this, how I, in basic terms, constructed it and how you can make it at home. The one I made here got a bit insanely complex because I found out I needed a good 2 inches here from this panel to be able to remove that. So I had to make a bit of a step and everything in it. Just got out of hand, to be honest. And also in that video, explain a little bit how I'm going to lock everything in place. Little teaser, I'm going to use this hinge. And I have a great idea to ensure that the train doesn't run off into the abyss here and there. And no, it's not electrical, it's going to be a mechanical solution. So I'm actually quite pleased with what I came up there. But I still need to make it, so maybe it will fail once I make it. And I'll show you guys that in the next video. But for now, I think we're going to open it again. Just like that. Close it. And say thank you all for watching. That's it for today. Bye-bye. This video was made possible by ABR Model Works, providing kits and accessories for all model railroaders. Looking to support the model railroading community? Check out the Dubai Trains Patreon page